Morning. Good morning, everybody. How are we? And welcome to Wednesday's coffee break. We have a really special guest today with Joy. Good morning, Joy. Give us a wave so everyone can.
Morning, everyone.
Good. Joy is actually, she's one of our Alpha Challengers. So she's on the Alpha Challenger board and helps us do a number of things on that. She's also got a really interesting job at Morgan Stanley, looking at risks and around sustainability risks and environmental risks, which perhaps we can come on to later on. But Joy, you started life. You were born in Zimbabwe, arrived in the UK with your doctor parents, and arrived from warm Zimbabwe to Glasgow as a 5-year-old. Tell us about your early life.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everyone for joining. It's really nice to see some new faces and see some friends who've come from Morgan Stanley. Thank you. So just a bit about me. I was born in Zimbabwe, as Mark said. I moved to Glasgow when I was 5, and then lived in Glasgow, lived in Lancashire, and then moved to West Sussex when I was around 12 years old. And then Switzerland when my family moved to the pharmaceutical industry, and then went to international school, came back to the UK for university, studied law at Exeter, did a year in Shanghai for an internship, and then moved to the City of London at 22, fresh-faced and ready to take on the world. Did a bit of paralegaling, and then moved into investment banking about 7 years ago, and joined Morgan Stanley just nearly 6 years ago.
Brilliant. Joy, one of the things that struck me when we were talking, you talked about your schooling in East Sussex, and being the only black person within the school and within your class, and having all of your friendship groups were other white young girls. How against the backdrop of what's happening now, how was that, and how do you think that's changed your perspective on life?
Yeah, no, good question. I think when you're 15 or 14, you don't really think about that. You notice you're a bit different. I was very lucky that people didn't necessarily make me feel left out. It's only when you grow older that you look back and you're like, wow, I never saw any visible representation of myself in my schooling and my friendships, or, the media that I consumed. And as you become an adult, it's like trying to find who you are as an African in a very white world, I guess. So it's been a journey of discovery, trying to find who I am, what's important to me, and how do I balance like what I've learned because of where I've grown up, and how I embrace my culture that my family has also brought me up on. But I think it's made me a very adaptable person because I've moved around so much, able to see different ways of people living and how people are treated, as well as understanding different cultures and assimilating into them, but also standing out as my own person.
Brilliant. And moving really around the world as well, because you as you say, you went out to China for a while, and how was that? And was that how different was it, and how did you adapt to that? Cool.
Yeah, no, that was probably one of the best years of my life, to be honest, because you're moving abroad. I had zero expectations of what China would be like. I think maybe based on what the Western world tells us that China is like, and then you arrive and it's this incredible, busy, cosmopolitan city. There were so many expats there, which was a shock to me. So I met like French people, German people, as well as native Chinese people. It was really interesting just learning about how different the culture was. And again, helped me with my communication because people had great written command of English, but not necessarily speaking. So it was really great just meeting new and different people, and also meeting other expats, either teaching English or learning Mandarin while they were there.
So came back to the UK at some point, and studied at Exeter University, Bachelor of Law, in the netball team. Where did you, like my mother was, if you saw her last week, where did you play? What position did you play in the netball team?
Goal defense. Quite short for a goal defense though, because I think you need to be about like 5'10", and I'm only 5'4", but I was quite punchy, so that was fun, but it was short-lived. I feel like competitions and sports makes me quite anxious, so I only did it in school.
Brilliant. So anyway, a few career moves, early career moves after graduating from university. Now at Morgan Stanley, great firm. Been there for nearly 6 years, and for the last 2 and a bit years, or almost 3 years, been a director, so progressing really nicely of the regulatory relations group. That must be an interesting place to be, or maybe it was an interesting place to be until COVID hit, but probably coming back now and getting more focus. What does that role involve?
So the regulatory relations group sits within the legal and compliance division, and it basically is the face of Morgan Stanley to the UK and European regulators. We advise the firm on how to respond to the PRA and the FCA on specific requests, and also make sure there's consistency across the firm in terms of our messaging, you know, from a capital, liquidity, credit risk perspective. I specifically cover climate change risk and credit risk. So what the PRA and FCA are interested in about how we manage climate change risk, how we're looking at sustainable products, are we disclosing correctly and staying within line market standards.
Brilliant, brilliant. So also over the last few months, started up a consultancy, advice, passion for what you call above the keyboard dressing.
Yeah, so something that's always been consistent for me is my love of style and fashion. I was actually telling Mark that, you know, when I was going to university, I actually wanted to study fashion, but my parents were like, you know, lawyer, doctor, that is the only option. So I've been able to like embrace my style within my corporate wear, and as I've grown older, you know, developing a personal brand, and I think workwear is so important in that personal brand discussion. And something I've always wanted to do is just start like a styling business, you know, giving corporate advice, corporate wear advice to women in professional services, just because I am all about female empowerment, and I feel like how you dress for work has a huge impact on how you feel and how other people perceive you. So the pandemic allowed for me to have a little extra time to really just think about what would that look like. And as we're working from home, I thought, you know, here's a massive gap in the market. No one's ever talked about how do you dress virtually, how do you come across virtually, and how are you pulling together outfits as you work from home. So I started an Instagram page about 3 months ago, just providing my own recommendations, my own style tips, and what I think about workwear.
Brilliant, brilliant. And things have changed. Things have changed. We were talking about this. Many of you will notice I put a shirt on for the first time in a while because you were coming on. Pre-COVID, people knew me. My style was, you know, blue suit, white shirt, and a fancy knitted tie. COVID came along, and suddenly I'm t-shirt and polo shirt man. But you decided the opposite. You decided that, you know, actually above the keyboard dressing was really important, and keeping that image and dressing to go to work.
Yeah, no, agreed. So I actually wanted to just share like not a presentation, but I've put together a PowerPoint, and I wanted to ask you guys a few questions just to keep you guys engaged, and then just share my thoughts on why I think it's important to still have that ritual of dressing for work and making an effort to, you know, come to the screen for your meetings, etc. So I'm going to just try share my screen now. Can you guys all see that? Right, so the first question, whoop, there we go. What word would you use to describe your professional workwear in the office? If you don't mind sharing, can you please all write in the chat? Mark, I can't actually see the chat when I share my screen, so can you read out what people are saying if they do write?
Okay. All right, we've got smart casual, smart, smart casual, smart. So
a mixture. And then also maybe just to clarify in terms of word, but like more your style, like what word would you use to describe your style for your professional workwear? Or if you ever thought of that. So I would describe my style as chic or sophisticated.
Smart and comfortable. Smart seems to be the word here. When I go and get my hair cut, which is a professional coming in, I always ask the hairdresser to make me look like a mad professor. Elegant from Maxine.
Oh, nice.
That's nice. Maxine, you're very elegant.
I love that. So we've got smart, elegant.
Oh, Lolly, I aspire to French chic.
Love it. So that's awesome. So people do think about, you know, their workwear and they had a style that they were trying to go for. And then the other question I wanted to ask everyone is, sorry, apologies. Do you feel your professional style has carried over to your work from home attire? So a raise of hands if people feel like they are still embodying that style currently in their work from home attire. I can't see everyone. Mark, has anyone raised their hand?
Hang on a moment. You want people to talk at this point. So who's, sorry, the question out there, Maxine, I'm going to ask you. Yeah, you're shaking your head. I'm going to pick on you.
No, sorry.
Maxine, how have you changed?
Lazy. Got lazy. Just grab the first thing that I can put on, really. That looks okay in front of a camera.
But Maxine, you still look great.
Yeah, but maybe it's just a bit of makeup that I have to put under my eyes, so I look hides what I'm wearing. I've got my pajamas on, really.
They're very nice pajamas. I wouldn't have.
No, they're not. They're actually not my pajamas.
Joy, we're guessing
they could be underneath.
We're getting some working from home comments coming in now. So, LV, working from home, not like office at all, hence no video. LV, turn your video on. We want to see. Feda, comfort is king.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I did the same survey on my Instagram account asking people, you know, firstly, who do they dress for? And everyone came back and said they dress for themselves. So, you know, in an office setting, we're all dressing smart. We're saying we're dressing for ourselves and that it's not for other people that we're dressing smart. And then I asked people, what are they currently wearing working from home? And everyone similar to this group is saying that, you know, comfy is king, wearing athleisure, easy to just roll out of bed and, you know, wear the comfiest thing that you want to wear. And for me, when I started the lockdown, I definitely was the same, but I came to a point maybe 2 weeks in that one, it was mainly because I live in a 1-bed flat and rolling out of bed and wearing the same thing the whole day just didn't give me any opportunity to feel like I was at work and home. It felt like I was at work 24/7. And two, I missed the routine of dressing up and, you know, thinking about my personal brand, being sophisticated chic, and how is that coming across to my usual clients and stakeholders. So I thought that was really interesting that we still feel comfiness is the most important, but we've all replicated our desks as our work office. So why is it that we were wearing smart clothes at work but not at home? I don't know if people have any thoughts on that, like the delineation between work and home and why we still feel like wearing the same thing doesn't stop that.
Can I go?
Yeah.
In my case, it's because I don't have video calls for work. So I'm literally behind my desk the whole day. And even when I do have meetings via Zoom or anything, there's no video at all. So it kind of feels like what's the point? Which is bad, because then I get into that cycle that you're talking about of, I don't feel like there's a difference between being at work and being at home. But for me, it's just a simple case of there's no need, because I have gotten video calls.
Yeah, and it touches on that point again of like, who do you get dressed for then, right? Because if it's that we're only getting dressed for other people, it does feel nice to dress up and, you know, put on something that makes you feel good and positive and confident. So it's, yeah, I find it such an interesting discussion. And that's why I think, like, when it comes to style, there's so much psychology behind how we dress. It's not just about looking pretty or appearances. It's also about how it makes you feel. I don't know if anyone else had any other comments.
Yeah, just to jump in, I think from my experience, we have a couple of Zoom calls during the week with my team, and I remember thinking the first one, what am I going to wear? Just something that looks presentable, but also is still like comfortable. And everyone showed up, and I could tell like everyone had prioritized like comfort. So from then I was like, okay, well, like this is, I can like literally come in t-shirts as long as like my hair is brushed, like it's fine. So I think also I guess your team, what you kind of vibe your team goes with, for me has affected how I guess come on camera.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like my team, we have a daily Zoom meeting and everyone is still very much like rolled out of bed look. And I have to say, like, just laughing to myself, I do always feel a bit better than them when I come on and I have brushed my hair and I have thought about what I'm wearing. But that's more about how I feel. An interesting thing is that more companies are coming out saying, you know, that they're going to have most of their employees working from home. So Schroders, PwC. So then long term, does that mean it changes how we dress for work completely? Or does it mean people will want to get back to wearing smart clothes? I'll throw that question out to anyone in terms of thoughts, and I'll also share my thoughts. Does anyone have thoughts on that? Personally, I think it ends up being a hybrid in terms of what you wear to work. You know, I'm definitely not wearing pencil skirts and tight dresses at home, but I've adapted my outfits to be video presentable, but also feel structured on myself. So I wrote down 3 recommendations that I follow that you guys might find useful. There we go. So the first one was blouses. As you saw, I've put on a shirt that's structured, a bit playful, a bit fun. I like to invest in tops and well-made blouses because they do always look great on screen and I do always feel smart. I have quite a few brands that I follow that I think do great quality clothes that I can share with you guys after. And then loungewear. I think it's okay to wear loungewear if you're wearing like really good quality loungewear, you know, the type that you're like, I'm okay to be outside with this. And I know people have had a few faux pas where they've stood up if the doorbells rang, or, you know, they want to close the window because the police are going past. So if you have like good loungewear, like I have a Marks and Spencer's pair that I bought 5 of the same pair because I'll stand up so you guys can maybe see them, but oh no, you can't see. Can you see? They're like floaty like this and really stretchy, but when I stand up, I don't look inappropriate, but they're super comfortable for wearing at home. So I've done a lot of research, like trying to find brands that make good quality loungewear pants so that I can still wear my smart tops and wear something comfy below. And then my third recommendation is jewelry. Jewelry and makeup or lipstick, I think, always add an extra if you don't feel like dressing up for the day. Earrings, rings, watches. I'm really big fan of them. They can make any minimal outfit look great. So I'd say those are my key recommendations of how to do the above keyboard dressing. And I probably will continue doing that hybrid of dressing throughout the year, because I think my firm and my team in particular will be working from home for quite a long period. I don't know if anyone has any questions on any of those recommendations.
No, I think they're fantastic recommendations, and I've done that myself. Like have it like the black, you know, the comfy, and they are from M&S or Next, the loungewear, and then just have a nice top when you just don't want to dress up too formally. Because I can't imagine wearing a suit dress or unless it's a particularly formal meeting, because that would feel too constrictive in your own home, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. I don't think I've worn a blazer once this year. One other thing I wanted to mention is I think, as I said, it has to be a hybrid and it has to be adaptable, and comfiness should come in it because you are at home. One thing I do think about is the week ahead and what virtual meetings I may have. I know, Nolly, you said you don't have any, but if I have any presentations or, for this talk with you guys, like having a think about how do I want to come across, what do I want to project, and I then think about the outfit that I'll be wearing for that. But for other days, I might be a bit more comfortable and wear a smart jumper versus a structured shirt. So I think it's about being versatile and dynamic as well, as we continue getting used to this new, no longer new, but different way of working.
Joy, do you think that if the corporate world does kind of evolve to a more working from home model, that we might see some of these workwear brands actually evolving a little bit into something that is more of that hybrid, so more taking comfort into account, and like you say, we don't want to sit at home in pencil skirts and that kind of thing, but actually seeing these brands perhaps evolve a little bit?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And I feel sorry for some of the workwear brands, like when you think of Reese and Karen Millen, which really base a lot of their clothes on like high powered dresses, which are always form fitting. They probably do have to take a step back and think like, yeah, are people going to wear these working from home if our predominant market are now working from home? But that's quite hard, right? Because they'd have to find manufacturers, new designers, etc., to be able to do that. But I think the brands that do well will be the ones that pivot away from the conventional way of dressing for work. Yeah, no, really interesting question. It'll be interesting to see. I have seen quite a few brands grow in prominence, Dye being one of them, DAI, which focuses on functional wear that's, comfortable and smart. And it's a lot more like the trousers I'm wearing, tops and trousers like that, but that are still smart but comfy. So I feel like brands like that are definitely going to be the ones that are up and coming and people will be looking out to purchase.
I've got a question, Joy. Slightly unrelated, but kind of related. In terms of your heritage, obviously you're Zimbabwean and quite proud of your background and your culture. How do you incorporate that into how you dress? Is that something you consider when you're dressing, whether that's for work or that's socially? Do you try to incorporate your culture into how you actually dress?
So in terms of culture, I'd say, Zimbabweans, as you know, love to dress very well. So that has been ingrained in me from a young age. If you see my parents, they also are very well dressed, very into coming across well and well presented. In terms of any like tribal print in my clothing, I have tried to look for new up and coming African designers just to, add a bit of African flair in my clothes, but I haven't from a Zimbabwean perspective. The Instagram page that I created is called Rufaro Styling, and Rufaro is actually my name, Joy, in my native language. So it really embodies, like as Nolly said, like where I come from, my culture, my heritage, and also just like me in my styling. So that's how I'd say I do that, Nolly. But thank you for the question. It's really great.
You're welcome. And I was asking because I struggle as well to find African brands that do work or formal wear, so I tend to wear more African prints socially, but it's a real struggle to bring them into the office, so that's why I was asking.
No, definitely.
Nolly, but you embrace the answer to your question, because I think a number of times when we've met in person or over Zoom, you've captured the smart, the chic, but you've done it with some sort of African themes in there, and I'm not sure how to say that, but you've done that brilliantly.
Oh, thank you.
Brilliant. So the last slide is just like, if you guys want to see more of my style recommendations or my top tips, you can follow me on Instagram, where I give quite a lot of advice on different brands that I like, things that are currently available to buy. different topics from, you know, how to wear patterns and prints, or, you know, I really love wrap dresses because they're also comfy for wearing at home, but also very smart. So there's a lot of information on there if you guys want to follow. And if you have any particular questions, you guys can email me personally on my email address there.
And we will share all of those on the website and the blog, so you can get in touch with Joy. Joy, thank you. Are there any final sort of questions for Joy? Any thoughts? Even obviously on styling, but also on the on her current role at Morgan Stanley, maybe, which I think is really interesting as well.
Joy, I do have a question related to brands. What do you think is going to happen to the fast fashion? If I think about Zara, they come up with new designs every 2 weeks, I believe. So I'm just thinking, like, I don't think we are going to need so many clothes if, again, like, we work from home. So what do you think is going to happen with them? Do they have to pivot as well into something different than fast fashion?
Yeah, no, that's another really good question. Two things that I think about that. There's two companies that are focused now on like renting clothes. So they're really taking away the market away from that fast fashion, you know, being more sustainable. How can you rent other people's clothes so that we're all not buying new clothes and also not spending so much? But I feel like when you look at Instagram and bloggers, their whole business is focused on showing, you know, new trends, new clothes. And there's so many of them out there that I feel that companies like Zara and Mango still have a big demographic of people who want to look like those Instagram influencers and who also want to be cool. I can't imagine them pivoting because that is their structure as well. Same as Boohoo, you know, like I watch Boohoo shares. They keep going up and they're also based on fast fashion because people want to buy affordable clothes. Not everyone can afford, you know, to buy some of the brands I named, and it's easier to buy Zara and Mango. So I feel they still have quite a good future ahead, but you hope that they also start thinking about, you know, more sustainable ways of their processes.
Hi Joy, this is Izzy. I've got a question just on the theme of sustainability and being a little bit more conscious about how we spend and use clothing. Are there any brands that tap into, you know, the eco-friendly or the sustainability theme that we can support, and brands that we can actually kind of leverage for corporate working from home attire?
Yeah, that's a great question. So DAI is one of the ones that I mentioned. I'll actually do a post about that. You've made me think about researching a bit more about sustainable brands. That's the one that I've come across from a corporate wear perspective that's focused on that. But others have mainly been more on athleisure. There's a lot of athleisure brands focused on sustainability, but the workwear one's not so much. So I can take that away and I'll definitely do a post on that. So thank you.
Brilliant. I look forward to seeing the post. Thanks.
Joy, athleisure?
So like gym wear.
Okay, all right. Okay, so sport, athletics, and sport, leisure. So sport.
Yes, yeah, that's what it's called now. It's like the new word, because people just wear it at home, but they're not necessarily exercising.
Brilliant, brilliant. Joy, you mentioned jewellery there. So I've on the first day of lockdown, I took my watch off, and I haven't put it back on since. A nice expensive watch. I just didn't feel like putting it on. But and we were talking earlier about you've still put your jewelry on in the morning. You still care about what earrings you put on. You know, how important is jewelry in all of this mix?
I think it's one part of the routine. Like I said, you know, trying to make that distinction between work and home. So by putting on my watch, it feels like, okay, Joy, you've started the day, you're at work now. So that was like the main reason. And then I've just got so used to wearing it. And in terms of jewelry, I feel like jewelry just adds an extra bit to an outfit. You know, if I wore this plain white top without the earrings, it wouldn't look the same, whereas you can see my earrings and my jewelry, and that adds to like your view of who I am and like what I take seriously and not. So I think it adds an additional layer and then doesn't put so much emphasis on you trying to plan an outfit for the day. You can just put on your jewelry and, you know, you already feel like you're ready for work. But I know that dressing for work is obviously very personal to people, and some people never ever wore jewelry. So it's just about understanding, what do you feel comfortable wearing, and how do you show your personality through this new virtual world that we live in.
Great. I'm just looking at some posts that come in here. A great quality brand I've discovered combining comfort and style is called Saint and Sophia.
Okay, no, I haven't heard that. I can write that down and check it out.
Titania, do you want to say more about Saint and Sophia?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
A little bit. It's a bit broken.
I hear you quite broken as well, but can just about follow. So I bought a few items from this brand, and I was really impressed with the quality of everything. And they do these like smart but like slightly stretchy trousers and also jackets that nobody could tell they weren't tailored, but they're super comfy to wear, for meetings, for presentations, and then you could just feel pulled together and smart, but be comfortable. And as I said, the quality is really above average, and the prices are pretty normal. So I would just I stumbled across them, and I bought probably 4 or 5 things so far.
Thanks, Tatiana. I'll definitely check them out. That's
sure.
Good, good.
I think I saw a question from Nolly.
Joy, what do you think are the basic staples every professional woman's wardrobe should have?
Yeah, another great question. So, today's session was definitely focused on above keyboard dressing, just because I feel most of us are probably going to work from home for a long period of time. So from a work from home perspective, as I said, it's like well-made blouses, invest in good trousers and jewelry. But if I was to be in the office, it would be completely different. You definitely have to have a good, well-made, comfy pair of black shoes, because we all know how hard it is to walk in heels all day, and it's so important to have a good pair. Funny enough, Penny and I found like the best, comfiest pair just before lockdown. We were so proud, from LK Bennett, round toe, thick heel, not painful at all, right, Penny?
Yeah, they're still sitting under my desk at work, sadly.
So that was a bit upsetting, because when you find a comfy shoe that you want to wear all day. And then I definitely think a well-made blazer that's structured to your body type, either fitted within the waist if you go really in the waist, or cropped if you have a flatter chest. And then definitely a wrap dress. I think wrap dresses are made for all women's bodies. They accentuate every type of body I've seen, and I think they're so flattering. My favorite brand for wrap dresses is DVF, of course. So if we're ever back in the office, I definitely recommend investing in a Diane von Furstenberg wrap dress, some well-made heels from LK Bennett, and a structured blazer. I really like Sandro for structured blazers, actually. I miss shopping for work, as you can hear. A question to you guys, I guess, as everyone said, comfort is key. And I think one person said working from home is not the same as being in the office. Do then people feel long-term that dressing more comfortably is the way forward in a work sense? Do people feel like they'll ever go back to dressing professionally if we end up working from home for another year?
I think that's an interesting question, Joy, and just take you back, to my childhood. I can remember my father leaving home in a bowler hat, which was the traditional workwear for everybody that went to the city, and every man used to leave the house, walk down to the station in a black bowler hat and a black jacket, blue shirt, blue suit, black shoes, white shirt, and a pretty dull coloured shirt. And things have changed. Obviously, it's probably there are more women getting the train to London to go to work than there were in the 1960s when I remember my father doing that, which is absolutely great. Which means it's brought more things. I hated it when the American banks brought Dress Down Friday in. I couldn't go up to the city, and I still wouldn't be able to go up to the city without putting a suit and tie on. But you can bring out your, as a man, you can bring out your character in what you wear. Having said all of that, I haven't put a suit on for 4 months. I can count the number of shirts I've put on, and I've had to go out and buy a completely new wardrobe. I've got shorts now. I haven't worn a pair of long trousers for 4 months. So it's, and I think that's where we're going to end up, unfortunately. And that's a really long journey from bowler hat to shorts.
That's really interesting, because obviously today's session was about keyboard dressing, but I think I mentioned, personal branding is a massive part of your career, and like how people think of you when they think of Maxine, or when they think of Izzy, what are their thoughts? And as I said, I think workwear has a massive part to play in that. So it'll be interesting then, if you're having client meetings or networking events, and we're not thinking about how we're being perceived from the way we dress, how that changes the way we see each other. I think that's a really interesting dynamic. Yes, Maxine?
I'm just thinking, I'm actually looking forward to going back and actually putting a smart dress and jacket on, and because it's going to be all like new again. It's quite exciting to think I can go in and put my nice smart dress on my heels and jacket, and like you mean business, I think. And I think sometimes when you are a little bit casual, I'm starting to feel like I'm losing my professionalism, and it would be nice to get that back, for me anyway.
Yeah. I think when people do go back to the office and it's safe and lots more people are going back, I think there will be people are going to want to wear some of the nice clothes they've brought over the years. Like I was thinking, like, hardly, you don't wear all the heels you've got, or the sand, you have different shoes for different outfits, and certain jackets you're not going to wear. So I think people will wear them again before they go out and buy another formal outfit, because I think some of the things, like the comfy pants, you're not gonna, no way would I ever dream of wearing those to the office, right? And no one probably here in this call would, especially if in FS or in the city. So I think it might not be as formal. So the jackets, there might be less jackets or less shopping of new things perhaps, or it could be, actually, it feels like a brand new job when I want to go and buy some new clothes. So I think there could be quite a resurgence, or maybe something in between. There might be a market in between the two.
Yeah, no, totally agree, Seema. Funny you say that. My Instagram post today was about shoes and asking if anyone missed office shoes and what my favorite type of shoes were. So no, definitely. And when I thought of Rufaro Styling, the idea behind it is to offer that personal styling to women in corporate, and it's just been adapted because we are working from home. But the focus is like, who are you? What are your ambitions? And how does your wardrobe match that over time and provide that support? I think I saw one last question about the rental websites. I didn't mention the names. One name is By Rotation, BY and then Rotation. And then the other one is Her, HURR. And I actually saw on their Instagram, they've partnered with Selfridges. So they will be like offering rental clothes for more high-end designers, which is exciting. And you see prices like £40 to rent a, usually £400 dress, to buy a £400 dress. So that'll be an interesting market that develops.
I have a quick question. This is Farida. So one thing that I've always thought of in terms of my work wardrobe is how I use color. How would you say you can use color in, I guess, screen presenting or screen above the desk calls?
Yeah, no, thank you, Farida. I actually have a post where I talk about, wearing color. I used to be someone who only wore black to work and just hated the thought of wearing color. But I think color is great for virtual meetings because it helps you stand out. Depending on your skin tone, as a black woman, you can pull off basically any color. So I'd recommend you just start investigating, colored brands. I can send you a few of my favorite brands that have very beautiful colored silk tops. But I think Yeah, if you're confident wearing colour, definitely wear it online. It definitely adds a bit of vibrancy and makes you stand out more than most people, because people don't really wear much colour in corporate, I think.
Thanks, Joy.
Thanks, guys.
Joy, I'm going to say thank you very much. Thank you for coming on. It's been really interesting and a pleasure. We're going out on Thursday night. It's my next week. It's my first night out, my proper out next Thursday. I'm going to be very conscious of what I'm wearing now.
Yeah, I'm excited because I get to choose an outfit to go out. Definitely, exactly. But it's casual outfit, right? Not smart.
Oh, I might come smart. Brilliant. Hey, everybody, thank you very much. I haven't got a clue what's happening next week yet, but it will be up on the blog, and we will be here, whatever, even if it's just for a chat amongst ourselves. Obviously, with holidays going on, the full agenda is going to start again towards the end of September, and we've got some great guests coming up. But just leaves me really to say thank you very much, Joy. It's been a real pleasure, and look forward to working with you on the Alpha Challenges. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thanks. Bye.